What's up guys, Status here. Today we're going to talk about my top 5 Synchro decks. These are 5 decks I think represent the mechanic the best. These are the 5 decks that I think utilize the Synchro mechanic the best in general. They're not necessarily the strongest, but they're the best options if you want to Synchro summon, I think. So if you're looking for a deck with which you can Synchro summon a lot, look no further, these are 5 decks you should consider. So first off, at number 5 you have Synchro/Junk Doppel. The classic. Synchro/Junk Doppel is very simple. You turbo out Junk Speeder, you summon a bunch of tuners from your deck, and then you just go off and summon multiple big Synchros. Now, why only number 5? Well, that's simple. The deck is very fragile and requires a lot of bricks to play. It feels like with every new card I get, they need to run more bricks. I mean, just look at Synchro Overtake for example. Suddenly you have to run something like Junk Warrior to make your deck playable. I think it's one of the biggest issues when it comes to Synchro strategies in general. But especially Synchro/Junk Doppel have it bad and need to run a lot of counters nowadays. I mean, then you get, for example, the new Necro Synchron, which puts a plant garnet in your deck. Then you have the Status Synchron, which requires multiple garnets to do anything. Yeah, the deck isn't exactly the greatest, but it's still very strong at putting up a lot of boards. If only it wasn't so fragile. I miss Level Eater. My number 4 is Vomit Synchro/Cyber Solkin. Not sure what to call it. I've showcased various variations of the synergy on my deck before. Basically you use Vomit Skipper with a tuner to just go full nuts into a complete combo. This basically outperforms Synchros and Junk Doppel, while at the same time not running as much garnets. Usually. Depends which build and variant you run. It's kind of the modern day Tengu Synchro, you know, with the old Reborn Tengu. Tengu plants. It's a bit like the same, it's like a modern variant. Because Vomit Skipper, for those that don't know, is level 1 Cybers that when uses Link Material get you to level 4 from your deck basically, which is exactly like Reborn Tengu, it's literally the same thing. Except it's more generic and mostly searchable too. It's a level 1, it's a Cybers, so you have like 9, well, at least 6 searches in your deck. Just 3 copies of itself, it's very consistent. And it just gives you free Synchro bodies, and I think that's really nice. And there's various boards you can create. You can go into Zolkin variants, you can just straight up Synchro. Especially those Zolkin variants that I've shown on the deck, that I've shown on the channel already before, are very consistent and they create strong boards. It's only a 2-card combo most of the time, sometimes a 3rd specific trap. You can devastate your opponent with it. Definitely an underrated strategy, but it's logically why, I mean, it makes sense why it's underrated, because it's not really an existing deck. I created it, but it's not like, you know, it's something that's the official deck. My number 3 has to go to Light Swan, although they're not strictly a Synchro archetype. They basically mix a lot of archetypes, or a lot of summoning methods. The Synchros they use are key to their play, in my opinion, plus there are Synchro variants you can make. You can play a very Synchro heavy variant, like the Stardust variant I have shown on my deck, on my channel before. I think it's really cool. Underrated video, it only got like 200 views, which is a shame, but it's a very cool variant of the deck that heavily goes into Synchros. I think Light Swan are underrated as a Synchro engine, mainly because of Chaos Ruler, they're very good. Chaos Ruler just activates 5 cards and adds a light or dark to your hand. It's like you get an extender and you mill 4, which is both ridiculous for Light Swan. With Chaos Ruler, they're one of the stronger decks in the game. Recently, a Light Swan variant that was the Synchro Heavy also topped an event. And although the list was kind of weird in general, if you ask me, it still showed Light Swans are relevant to this day. And I think they are underrated and overlooked as a Synchro deck. Because they're not truly a Synchro deck, they mix Xyz and Links in as well, but still. They are Synchro Heavy, and I think that's still a very strong deck and option you could try out if you look for a Synchro deck. Now, my number 2 has to go to Adamantium. I mean, Adamantium, right? Even without Block Dragon, they can still put up very strong boards, and with a ban of Link Cross, they can finally actually play Synchros. One of the biggest issues with before was that you had no real reason to go into Synchros. Nowadays, you know, there's actually a good reason to go into them, because, well, that's what you're going to do Link away. I think they're still very strong. I think they're slept upon. I think they could definitely be rogue if built well. I think there's more options available now that Block Dragon is gone. You need to get creative with the deck. It's not as easy as before, where you could just link off Block Dragon a few times and just get infinite pluses. Now you need to actually combo well and get lucky with activates. I guess that's also more important now. But yeah, I think there's still variants out there for adamantium Spatus that haven't been fully explored yet. I think they're definitely one of the strongest Synchro decks right now, just because of their consistency. Even if you get like a single hand trap on you can usually just play through it anyway. That's something a lot of Synchro decks lack. And the number one, the Lonely King sitting at the top, is Red Dragon Archfiend. Red Dragon Archfiend resonates, whatever you want to call it. I think it's the best Synchro deck and it's not even close. I think there's miles between this and adamantium Spatus and any of the other decks when it comes to just being a good, robust, consistent Synchro force. I mean, when you look at Red Dragon Archfiend, all it does is basically throw up a few big Synchro monsters on the field and win a duel via that. Now, if you're looking for a Synchro deck, that's exactly what you should be looking for. If you love Synchro summoning, you should be playing Resonators or Red Dragon Archfiends. They're really strong right now. I've got multiple builds on my channel already. I got like 3 or 4 more coming up soon, and depending on when I upload this recording. Yeah, they're just completely ridiculous and definitely underrated. They're very consistent nowadays with all the new support, if built well. Due to the new Trick Knight engine that I found, they also have more ways to access consistency. There's variants you could make, there's variants you could play. Yeah, I think they're really, really strong. Now, they're definitely not a meta deck, but if you're playing at like a low-cost level or casual level, they're perfect. If you're playing meta, I just wouldn't play Synchros. But if you're looking for a fun casual strategy, get Red Dragon Archfiend. They're not even that cheap. They're not that expensive either if you somehow play at locals or remote duels. All I know is that Whirlwind, the level 4, is a bit expensive nowadays. And between you and me, you can cut it. That sounds weird to some, but with Head Trigger and Damage Juggler and Dawn Knight, it's replaceable. So yeah, if you want to play Synchro-based strategy and you aren't playing Red Dragon Archfiend yet, hey, consider playing them. If not, well, hey, at least I gave you some ideas. So I hope you guys like this. Any Synchro decks I missed, tell me so in the comments. Also, shoutouts, or well, honorable mention to Fabled. I originally had them as my number 5. Fabled are definitely underrated. Might feature them on my channel soon. Thing is that Doppel is just a tad bit better at almost the same strategy, so figured better off giving the spot to that. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Start here signing out. Peace.